The White Pass and Yukon is a 3-foot narrow-gauge railroad that stretches from the port town of Skagway, Alaska, northward over the coastal mountains and into British Columbia, Canada, and the Yukon Territory. Originally constructed between 1898 and 1900 to support the Klondike Gold Rush, the railroad now handles a different kind of business: tourism. Since being resurrected as a tourist attraction in 1988, the railroad has grown to haul 600,000 riders annually. It is by far the busiest tourist railroad in North America. Most of this business comes from summertime cruise ships plying Alaska's Inside Passage. The scenery along the journey is spectacular, with sheer cliffs, rivers, glacial lakes, and craggy mountain peaks. It's such an interesting railroad that I'm planning on doing an entire series of videos about the White Pass and Yukon and its history. But for today, I want to focus on the railroad's diesel locomotive fleet. While the White Pass was an all-steam railroad for half a century, diesel-electric units are now the primary form of motive power, hauling tourists to the summit and the US-Canadian border at Divide. The railroad has owned diesels going all the way back to the 1950s. The first series of locomotives to arrive were the 90 class units built by General Electric. These unique-looking diesels were given the official designation of GEX 3341, and as built, were equipped with American Locomotive Company built prime movers. Several 2- or 3-unit orders were delivered to the White Pass and Yukon beginning in 1954 and concluding in 1966, for a total of 11 locomotives numbers 90 through 100. Following the 90 class, White Pass approached the American Locomotive Company to build a higher horsepower diesel for use on their main line. These locomotives, numbers 101 to 107, were given the designation of DL 535E and arrived in the spring of 1969. ALCO ended up closing its doors before the locomotives could be completed, so the work was turned over to the company's Canadian subsidiary, the Montreal Locomotive Works. MLW would go on to build another 3 DL 535s for the White Pass in 1971, numbers 108, 109, and 110. An updated version of the DL 535 with a new cab design was built for the White Pass in the early 1980s by Bombardier Transportation. However, due to a temporary railroad shutdown in 1982, 3 of these locomotives were sold to another railroad instead. Only one locomotive, number 114, was finally acquired by the White Pass in 1995 after the railroad was back up and running. By the end of the 2010s, the White Pass and Yukon decided it needed newer and more powerful locomotives. Starting in March of 2020, White Pass received 6 brand new diesels from National Railway Equipment. These new locomotives, numbered 3001 through 3006, were originally intended for service in Australia and had the model number of E3000CC-DC. With a total of 3,000 horsepower, each of the new diesels could replace 2 of the old ALCOs and GEs. Most of the ALCO DL 535s and GE 90 class diesels were subsequently put up for sale. The Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad in Colorado purchased locomotives 101, 103, 106, and 107 in 2020, and the Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad picked up locomotive 114 in late 2023. Let's now take a look at the White Pass and Yukon diesel locomotive fleet in action. In late September of 2024, I joined a special photography charter put on by Trains and Travel International. Over the course of 3 days, I was able to capture multiple scenes of the railroad's remaining ALCO and GE fleet, as well as the newer diesels built by NRE. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for this look at the White Pass and Yukon fleet of diesel locomotives. This is the first in what will be a series of videos on the railroad, including a special episode of Train Talk focusing on its history, which should be out sometime next year. As always, a special thanks to all my supporters on Patreon. If you have any thoughts you'd like to share with me on this video, be sure to leave a comment in the comment section. To receive notifications every time I post to YouTube, click on the subscribe button and select the Receive All Notifications option. There's even more train and railroad themed content on my other social media pages. I'll be back next Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time with a brand new railroading adventure right here on the YouTube channel. That's it for now. Until next time, I'm Mike Armstrong. I'll see you down the line. Thanks for watching.